वंशीविभूषितकरान्नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरादरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने. Welcome to the Friday scripture class, and today the scripture is Uddhava Gita. Uddhava Gita, the last message of Sri Krishna to humankind through his teachings to Uddhava, the great devotee of Krishna, is a wonderful book after the Gita, Bhagavad Gita. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the message of Krishna is for mankind through Arjuna. Here is through Uddhava. Here in the today's portion, we have Sri Krishna saying about the ill effects of sakama karma. There was a Mimamsakas, that's one type of philosophy, Mimamsaka, the karma kandis. They say you perform actions, good actions, and it will yield good fruits. You do good, you will achieve good. Good, good, bad, bad. So don't do anything bad. Perform good actions that will lead you to heaven. You will enjoy there. And for a long time after that, you will be born again. You will be in the good place and you will perform good actions. You will go to heaven. That type of teaching of the karma kanda. There is nothing of the Atman, and they have different philosophies. So here, Sri Krishna will try to say to Uddhava the failings, fallacies of the karma kandis. So mostly people do sakama karma. All there, we said that we couldn't fulfill here. We think that we'll fulfill that in heaven. Do good, you go to heaven. There is so many enjoyment, more enjoyment. Life is happy, and enjoyment will give happiness. That sort of idea is there. So here in this in detail today, he will say. Let's begin from verse 13 of chapter 2 of the chapter 5. Sorry, verse 3 of the chapter 5, verse 13 of the chapter 5 of Uddhava Gita, the last message of Sri Krishna, translated by Swami Madhavananda. Page 75 in that book. Vaisharadi sati vishuddha buddhir dhunoti mayam gunasam prasutam gunaksa sandaiha yadatmati metat swayam cha samyat tyasak swayam cha samyat tyasa vidyathagni. So he gives the example here, the highly refined wisdom which comes to or of a competent person, which comes to a competent person, removes the delusion which is the product of gunas, he says. First he praises the refined buddhi. So what happens in Vedanta? This is Vedantic message. So first you have, if our mind, buddhi, intellect is refined, that's why the Visharada, expert, to the expert, highly refined wisdom, that is Vishuddha, Ati Vishuddha Buddhi, that comes to Vaisharadi, to a person who is an expert or competent person, it comes. What that does, how we realize through buddhi, what is the role of intellect in realization of the Atman in Vedanta? What it does, says Sri Krishna, dhunoti mayam gunasam prasutam. Dhunoti, it cleans, it washes, it removes. What it removes? It removes maya. All the karma that is the product of guna samprasutam. Guna means this Maya has three gunas. It's composed of three gunas. In the Gita also you'll find a chapter named Trigunatmika, is the Triguna. Trigunatita, characteristics of Trigunatita you will find there. So there are three gunas that constitute the whole our human life and this world, where we relate to the world, we transact to the world, all made up of three types of qualities. Those are the things. One is that deludes us and makes us lazy. Another is makes us passionate, active, and that also is there. And there is another that makes us serene, wise, and peaceful, calm. That is the third type. This first one, which makes us lazy and sloth and all, we are deluded. So that type of quality is called tamoguna. So that is there. It's a part of the creation. Creation, there will be tamoguna is there. And there is also not only tamoguna. There is activity also. The tamoguna lays one to inaction and delusion and ignorance. And there is action, passion, achievement, something we want to do. So that is another kind of guna. And this all guna is kind of maya. And in that, the first one binds us with dukkha. There is misery when you are inactive, you are deluded, you are ignorant, you are lazy. There, its result is dukkha. Dukkha sakyena badanati. And what happens when there is passion, work, aspiration, want to achieve something, want to create something, lot of that seems to be so wonderful thing in the world. Yes, that creates, makes the world. There is something creativity in the Rajoguna. But what does it do? It also doesn't give you final happiness. What it does, it binds us through thirst for name and fame. Krishna Sangena Badanati. It binds us through name and fame, through desire, never ending desire. So that is also a kind of bondage. Now, there is a third kind, serenity, calmness, peace. Is that realization of God? No, that is also not realization of God. That also is a kind of bondage. And but this sattva guna, the third one, helps us to reach to the realization of God. So realization of God happens when we transcend all three gunas, triguna tita. When that happens, then God realization or spiritual realization happens. But before that, how does this sattva guna binds us? It also binds us. It binds us sukha sangena badanati. There is desire to be free from any type of conflict or any type of friction, and to be in a very happy situation in the world, but very worldly though. That also worldly, and also avoids all types of anything happening. So no, just want to save oneself to where the happiness or the comfort of life is the highest thing for this sattvagunis. Comfort of life. You want not to be involved in anything because you know all this rajaguna creates work, passion, and you are bound in that. Some difficulties come, and tamoguna is that it is very binding with ignorance. So what they do, they want comfort of life through peaceful life, happy life, and that is also a bondage. And Gita it is said, Sukha Sangena Badanati. They seek happiness, they seek comfort. So that is also a bondage. But this serenity of mind, calmness, this balance of mind, and conquering of passions, this is a help to lead us towards the divinity, towards the realization of the self. But it is not the highest, but it is the best of the three gunas. So these three gunas constitutes the world or samsara. So when there is an expert person who knows the thing, who can understand the thing, very wise person, and he has ati vishuddha buddhi. Now intellect has been very fine, and it has become utterly purified and powerful. Then what it does, dhunoti mayam gunasam prasutam. Such intellect can pierce through the maya. Maya that is created, Maya is this worldliness created by gunas, all three gunas. The buddhi can take you through the gunas. It understands this is also a bondage. Otherwise, who will understand this happiness, peacefulness, the comfort? That is also a bondage. It doesn't seek that even. It says this is also a bondage. The goal is the divinity. Goal is the realization of the self. Goal is God. Goal is Atma Jnana. So that person tries to go beyond that when that person has ati vishuddha buddhi. How can one have that ati vishuddha buddhi? Through spiritual practice, through the practice of yama and niyama. and leading a moral and life of good conduct, and practicing ethics in life. So ethics and morality, that will lead you to perform good conduct in life, always alert, and above and over and above the moral and ethical life of then comes the divinity or search for reality. So either you are devoted to God, or you are keenly searching the truth. What is the truth? So all this performance of yama and niyama, and leading a life of truthfulness and serviceful attitude and dutifulness to your allotted work and your non-attachment, that all helps you in purifying your intellect. When intellect is purified, Maya can be tried to conquer by that. That's why this Ati Vishuddha Buddhi Dhunoti Mayam, the Maya which is a product of gunas, gunasam prasutam. Gunasa sandaiha yadatma metat. So when these gunas are there, they bind us. Now, through this purified intellect, it tries to not only remove the gunas, all the gunas are sandaiya, are burned. You become free from the gunas by the help of this intellect. Swayam cha shamyatya samid ethagni. And what happens is that buddhi tries to make you free from the gunas, and in the process, it burns all the gunas, all the worldliness, all even the qualities of serenity, even the quality of passion, aspiration, and quality of a lower quality, you can say that the tamo guna of ignorance and laziness, all are overcome. And in the process, it says, Swayam cha shamyat yasamid yathagni. That finally this buddhi also is dahya. It becomes samya. It becomes dozed off. It is not there as in the fire. There is the fire burning. And when all this fuel is burned, what happens to that? All the flames are doused. All flames go away. Like that, buddhi merges into the reality. So it is the message of the Vedanta. You try, you purify your intellect. Through that intellect, you try to pierce through the gunas, and in the process, when you advance towards your spirituality, in the process your buddhi merges in the reality, and there is neither the buddhi nor anything else. You merge to become the Brahman. You merge to become the reality. Let me read from this thing, the meaning of the verse that Swami Madhavananda has written, that highly refined wisdom which comes to a competent person removes the delusion which is the product of the gunas, delusion, and completely burning the gunas of which this universe consists is itself extinguished, also like fire without fuel. What will happen when that Ati Vishuddha Buddhi is also extinguished? Then the reality comes. Then we understand our own reality. The medium of Buddhi, which was taking us to realize God, that has done its work. It has led us to the door of the reality. And then Buddhi has merged, and we find that we are that Brahman, we are the pure Atman. That Buddhi has done its work, like the boat taking us across the river, and we land to our goal, to other shore, where that boat is not needed anymore. Boat has done its work. Here also, Buddhi has done its work to take us to the reality. After saying thus, Sri Krishna now he says about the karma kanda. What this is the Vedanta. Now, what the karma kanda is, or Mimamsaka, they try to preach. He says elaborately about that. अतैषां कर्मकर्तॄणां भोक्तॄणां सुखदुःखयोः नानात्वमत लोककालागमात्मनां मन्यसे सर्वभावानां संस्था भावानां स्थाध्योत्पत्तिकी यथा तत्तदाकृति भेदेन जायते भिद्यते च धीः. If you suppose that these doers of action and experiences of happiness and misery are many in number, or that the heavenly spheres, time, scriptures, and souls are eternal, or that the existence of all things is eternal as a series and is real, and that knowledge originates and is diverse according to the form of things cognized. So that is the view of Mimamsakas. They think as yoga, as also the your Sankhyas, they say there are many souls. Souls are the thing that experience happiness and misery, and there are many souls in life. And when good work is done, you experience good and happiness. So why do you worry? And this all sukha and dukkha are real. They will say all this world is real, sukha dukkha is real, and these souls, after performing good works here and performing the actions of sacrifice, they will enjoy good life here, and also they will go to heaven and enjoy after death also. They will enjoy heavenly pleasures. If you think that, there is fallacy in that, that thing also, says Sri Krishna. Suppose, etc. Here, the view of the Mimamsakas, who are upholders of work with motive, is put forward, which is refuted in verses, future verses. According to this school, the souls are real and many in numbers. They actually experience happiness and misery, do work, and go to various spheres as the result of their deeds. Soul goes. The Mimamsakas do not believe in Ishvara or God, and heaven is their goal, not moksha. They, of course, do not believe in the one existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, Satchidananda. They do not believe in that. The Brahman or the Atman, they do not believe in that, of the Vedantin, whose apparent manifestation is everything internal and external. And when he says, they see about they glorify the scriptures means the scriptures enjoining selfish work, the work with motive, the performance religion with motive. They used to perform in the Vedic time. They used to perform the Homa with various mantras, with all desires. And the yajnas will be like that. Kameshti yajna, putreshti yajna, or Ishta, what were they wanted through the yajna? Son, or the desirous things, or heaven. So, like that thing, what the yajna was performed with the personal motive or desires. So they used to get. It's not that they would not get. If performed well with the right mantra and right rituals, they would gain the heaven. That is for sure, because mantras have their own power. This is in the Vedas. But Sri Krishna wants to say that if you make heaven as your goal of life, then you cannot be ever satisfied. That is also not true. That is also part of Maya that you want to pierce through. You want to go beyond Maya. Unless you do not go beyond Maya, beyond three gunas, you will not find eternal peace, eternal unity with the truth. So that is also a part of Maya. For the time being, there will be pleasure, like you have pleasure in this world. But that is not the ultimate. That's what Sri Krishna wants to explain to Uddhava, that goal should not be heaven. In the Gita also Sri Krishna says about denounces the desire of going to heaven. That was prevalent, quite prevalent it seems. This Mimamsakas or Karma Kandis doing in Hinduism, which try to have better life in the world and going to heaven. Most religion try to do that. Going to heaven is the highest goal. So like that. Yeah, in that also kama atmana swarga parag dharma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogeshwarya gatim prati, like the Sikina says in the yamimam puspitam vacham vedavata rata partha nanyatasti, like that he says in the Gita, that who are following the karma kanda of the Vedas, they show the very beautiful flowers of the fruits of their flowers of that we achieved through the performance of a yajna. And why did they perform? Kamatmana Swargapara. For them, heaven is the ultimate goal, and they are all full desires, full of desires of desires. So such people, and they try to find that limited goal of life, going to heaven. Going to heaven is ultimate for them. So that should not be the goal of a wise person. Wise person's goal should be to know the truth, not to attain the pleasures of heaven. That's what it is. He says here. Here also he says people are of like that. The Vimarsaka's theory, many souls, they go from this sphere to that sphere. All are real things, and they get enjoyment when they go to different spheres after death. Um, Such type of things, and they are the real doer, real enjoyer are the souls. Many souls, there is no concept of Satchidananda, there is no concept of existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, only worldly thoughts. So this type of religion is inferior compared to the philosophical religion of seeking the highest bliss, ultimate bliss, and going beyond this the cycle of birth and death. But Mimamsakas won't lead you to that goal. Their achievement is heaven. After heaven, again you have to come back and do all the things, and again go to some higher sphere after death. So that should not be your goal, O Uddhava. That is not the goal of Vedanta, says Sri Krishna. Let us read further from verse 16. एवमप्यंग सर्वेषां देहिनां देहयोगतः कालावयवतः सन्ति भावा जन्मादयो सकृत. Even then, my friend, all corporeal beings repeatedly undergo such states as birth and the like, owing to their connection with the body and owing to time having parts. So they think that this time as is seen is real. They don't want to go beyond time, space, and causation. Time having this month, year, etc. is all real. So they will work sometime here and will think that I go to heaven and stay there for so many years, maybe so many years of time according to Brahma, long many years I will enjoy there, like that. They think that way. So this all corporeal beings, those who are in the body, corpora means body, corporeal beings means the souls, individual souls. They undergo such states of birth and death only if they cannot realize oneness of existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. They will feel that I am individual soul and I am born and birth, etc. After being born, there are all the changes in their deha. The dehi feels the changes in the deha, and what are the changes? All the six changes the Deha goes through. Jayate, Asti, Vardhate, Viparinimate, Apakshiyate, Nasyati. All the body dies, and the soul thinks, I am also having the same thing. It takes this Maya world as the real world, the variety as the reality. So that is the thought of this Vimamsakas. So you should try to understand their theory and not be deluded by this immediate gain of happiness through the performance of sakama karma. Try to be niskama with the help of anasakti yoga. That is what the Krishna's attitude, what he taught in the Gita, is trying to say here nicely. But the Mimamsaka's views are, he is trying to elaborate that. What people they teach about going to heaven. अत्रापि कर्मणां कर्तुर अस्वातंत्र्यं च लक्ष्यते भोक्तुश्च दुःखसुखयोः क्वनर्थो विवशं भजे. You think that you work for the joy, happiness, but what is there happiness in when you are bound? You are not free. So when you think the soul is bound in the body, he is bound in the deha, how can there be happiness? Even in this case, one notices the want of freedom on the part of the doers of action and the experiencer of happiness and misery. And what fruition ever attains one who is not independent? So you are dependent on the fruits of your action. You perform good action, that will give you good result. If you are dependent for a happiness on your action, so you are already dependent. So dependent, how the one who is dependent on certain things, How can he enjoy the unalloyed happiness? That is very much dependent. So there is no joy in slavery. There is no, however, you are fed and taken care of, unless there is freedom, there is no happiness. So that we know the slave may be very much well cared, he is fed, he is taken care of, everything is done. But he is still a slave. He cannot go where he wants, he cannot do what he likes, or he is very much under the guidance and supervision and domination of the master. There can be no true happiness for a slave. Similarly, there can be no true happiness for a person who depends on the happiness, on the sakama karma, on the actions for the happiness, on the oblation worship that will give you what you want. Such type of action can give you happiness, real happiness, says Sri Krishna in this verse 16. Even then, my friend, he says to Uddhava, and trying to say all, Uddhava was not inclined to worldliness, but through Uddhava is trying to teach the Vedanta and how it contradicts with seemingly people getting interested in going to heaven as the highest, trying to perform the rituals just for sake of going to heaven. How inferior are those things, those ideas? Sri Krishna wants to say that elaborately. न देहिनां सुखम किंचित विद्यते विदुषामपि तथा च दुःखम मूढ़ानां वृथा हंकरणम परम. So न देहिनां सुखम किंचित विद्यते विदुषामपि. Sometimes it happens they see wise persons karma kanda, they are very happy, and illiterate, they do not know about this karma kanda, they didn't perform the actions sakama karma, they are unhappy. You may think that way. Now, Sri Krishna says it doesn't happen always. He says, Na dehinam sukham kinchit vidyate vidusamapi. There's not always that all the wise person will be always in happiness. It doesn't happen. Tatha cha dukkham mudhanam vritha hankaranam param. And similarly, not that all unwise person are always in misery, that also doesn't happen. Many illiterate persons are quite happy. They are have very philosophical mind. They can think very high thoughts. They are very happy through their philosophical thought. It doesn't depend on how much of your sakama karma kanda you know. So that is useless to be involved in sakama karma kanda. He says, sometimes even wise men have not the least happiness, and ignorant people are sometimes without the least misery. So bragging is simply useless. Who brags? Bragging of the result of sakama karma. If you do good, you will attain good. So that is the sakama karma. So that is bragging about the efficacy of work, efficacy of sakama karma. So that's what the Mimamsakas say. You perform the action with full rituals and correctly, it is bound to give you the fruit, desired fruits, if there is no mistake in your worship. They brag that, but it has been seen that even the wise persons, they when they work, they may not get the desired result. They are not always happy. So that's how Sri Krishna tries to say that what you say is not the right thing. Uh, in that one story that one person, very wise and learned person, was crossing the river, and he was only boatman was there, and he asked to the boatman, have you learned the shastras of the Vedanta Vedas? So he said, no sir, I have not. Oh, you have not read Vedas, so what you have done your life is just spoiled, your half life is spoiled, one third life is spoiled. And do you know something of Bhagavata? Have you read Bhagavata? No, sir, Bhagavata, I never had the chance. I rowed the boat. How will I have chance to do know the Bhagavata? Oh, you have never studied Bhagavata. Then your two-third life is gone. What about other Puranas, Vishnu Purana and the Garuda Purana? Have you read that? Sir, I am not a learned person. I have not studied. I am illiterate. How do I know this Puranas you are talking about? Oh, you have not read Purana also. Then your three-fourths of your life is all destroyed, all gone, gone in vain. Then suddenly what happened? There came a big storm in the middle of that river, huge river, and the boat started then rocking. It made sink, and then that boatman asked to that learned Pandit, "Sir, do you know swimming?" He said, "Swimming? No, I don't know swimming." "Oh, you have not learned swimming? Then your whole, you were talking about my half life, two-third life, three-fourth life is gone. But your seems your whole life is now in danger. It is going to finish. So, because you have not learned the basic, very basic how to save yourself, and in your you're bragging about your learning knowledge, so with your mm, pride you are doing that, your arrogance. So that is not the real thing. Real thing is the performance of duty well, and you are learned means that fine for you. You don't have to show everywhere that I am learned, and those who have not, who do not know the shastras, they're all doomed, their life is all gone, means useless, and that is gone, failed life. That is, you don't have to say. That's why it is here. It said the word he said, "Vritha ahankaranam param," with all that without sometimes the least misery. So bragging, this ahankara, with the ahankara, paramahankara, great bragging is simply useless. Pritha, it is useless to think that way. That only learning sakama karma, performing that alone will give you happiness, and that is also not true. He said, Sri Krishna said. यदि प्राप्तिम विघातंच जानन्ति सुख दुःखयो तेप्यद्धा नदविदुर योगम मृत्युर्न प्रभवेद यथा. If they at all know how to attain happiness and destroy misery, they certainly do not know the contrivance by which death can be made powerless. You see, the people talk about happiness. Perform this yajna, you will be happy, you will gain whatever you want, you will gain more rain, you will get whatever children you are unhappy because of not having children, you will get children, you will get wealth, all you will get. You will be favorable, everything will be favorable for your life. They talk so much about this performance of different rituals, yajna. But what about death? They do not know about death. They don't promise that you can overcome death. They do not have that. Only you can enjoy the things here, and they will say something, you perform good actions here, you will go to heaven and enjoy there. But they do not talk about conquering death. They do not have that thing that they say. They certainly do not know the contrivance by which death can be made powerless. Contrivance, only realization of one's eternal identity with Brahman can do this. So, how to overcome the fear of death? So, when you find that you are a dehi connected with deha, that connection, this attachment with dehi, with strong identification with deha, is not gone, then there is always fear of death, and death will come. How to overcome death? The only Vedanta, the only Vedanta can realization of oneness with Brahman, and this identification with the body alone can you make free from the fear and misery of death. Death is miserable to many persons. That's why they seek after death. They want to go to heaven, some place like this, in many intense, more intenser pleasures that we enjoy in the world. For that, they perform that sort of, again, that sort of worship. कोन्यर्थ सुख यत्तेनम कामो वा मृत्युरंतिके आघातम नीयमानस्य बध्यस्वेव न तुष्टितः. While death is near, what acquisition or enjoyment can please a man? It cannot please him, like an animal which is being dragged for slaughter. So, this karma kandis will not talk much about the reality of death. They will talk about you enjoy your life, and all things will be favorable to you if you perform these types of worship or these types of yajnas. That is their saying. But what about the person? How much he will enjoy that? He's a totally bound person, and he cannot enjoy that. And you want to in this life, but what is your reality? You are being dragged, the death is coming, you are going to the grihita, grihita eva cases mrityum, mrityuna dharma machare. Perform dharma uh, by thinking that death has caught hold of my hair, and now the death is pulling me to itself. So death is inevitable. Death is closer. So dharma you should perform, not um, the, the rituals that lead to sakama karma, sakama puja, that you should not involve in, says Sri Krishna. So that's why it is said. It is, how is the case of the person? Aghatam niyamanasya badhya sweva natustida. So, like human being is at way, as it were, being dragged, as the animal for sacrifice is dragged for to offer to sacrifice, the human being is doing that through in this time. So what enjoyment is there? Little enjoyment you show, you do this and you will gain this, you will gain this success, you will get this things, this property, this wealth. You do, you ask that, but what is he being done? He's being continuously being dragged to death, and you don't say anything how to conquer death. And what you say is, and at that position that person is being dragged to death like a animal being dragged for sacrifice. So that we are being done, and we are not aware of that. If we are identified with the body, that is the ultimate thing, where every day we are getting closer to death. Every happy birthday is our going closer to ultimate end of our life. So I did with 70 years, tomorrow 71 years. Happy birthday, 71, more closer to God. 80 years, more closer to death. That it is approaching death. That happiness is there. What is happiness in celebrating that sort of birthday? When you approach death more faster, more closer, and when you are like that old, the death can come any moment. So, like that is the thing. You think that is the real joy, real happiness. That can be happiness, definitely, if you have found that you do not die. What dies is the body. You then enjoy. This body has become 80 years. I am still alive. The body will dissolve one day. It will disintegrate one day. But 80 years this body served me. That sort of idea, if you have that knowledge that this body that is eternal, there's nothing that you want to enjoy through the body, but real joy is in the knowledge of the spirit, knowledge of the self. When you have that sort of knowledge, then this birthday doesn't matter. Progression towards death also doesn't matter. Death will be there of the body. I am not the body. I do not die. And you are confident and you have a conviction, you have attained the conviction that I am a soul, I am immortal. So that's what Sri Krishna wants to say about this karma kandis thing, how there is so much fallacy in there. They want to give you happiness, but in fact you are being dragged to death. श्रुतं च दृष्टवद्दुष्टं स्पर्धाशूयात्ययव्ययैः बह्वन्तराय कामत्वात् कृषिवत् चापि निष्फलम्. So the happiness of heaven, etc., that we hear of from the scripture, Shrutam cha Drishtavad, is also vitiated. That heaven's happiness, you say there's so much happiness in heaven, that is also vitiated. It is not true. In happiness, also, if it is in the Maya, there will be happiness like here, and many obstacles for that happiness. One idea is happiness, there is nothing, you don't fall sick, there is no death, that you are always same, you don't age, you don't have disease, like that. One idea is there. But Sri Krishna here gives different idea about the happiness. He says the happiness of heaven, etc., that we hear from the scripture is also vitiated, like that we experience here. How it is vitiated? It is vitiated by rivalry, jealousy, destruction, and waste. And because the desire for it is attended by many obstacles, it is sometimes fruitless, like agriculture. So you go to heaven, there is also many things like that in heaven also. You don't think heaven is all devoid of this. You want only pleasure and there is nothing. There is not like that. And to gain that thing, how much you have to work out. So that is sometimes there are so many obstacles, and after doing all that, obstacles become prominent, and then you don't get the fruit. It becomes fruitless, like agriculture, says Sri Krishna. Why he compares agriculture? Agriculture has to be done and dependent on many factors. Like mostly it is the rain. So for that you try to do all the plow the land, and you prepare the things and manure it and all that, and then spread the seeds. But rain doesn't come. All your effort became useless and fruitless. So that sort may happen if you consider only going to heaven is your ultimate goal, where rivalry, jealousy may exist there, and there is the waste of your effort and waste of time. That's what, and there is a destruction of that. In heaven also, there is no unsullied pleasure there. Though scriptures often they show a picture of pleasure. All the scriptures they describe a lot of heaven. As in the Christianity, we have the idea of paradise where there is God and there will be eternal heaven. There will be only existence like this here, but God is there, and all the ills of this human life, this earthly life, is negated there. You don't grow old. You don't have rivals. You don't have someone that will make your life difficult. All are so good. All are souls, and the God is there, and you will always meet with God. Like that thing is said about the heaven. So that is Islamic heaven, all there are pleasures. There is the rivers of milk and honey. Sometimes you dip milk and drink that. Sometimes honey, there's all going on. You don't have to take trouble to hunt the animals in the desert. There is so much of water is there, water, milk, honey, whatever you want. And there is all pleasure and pleasure. Like that is the imagination given in the Islamic religion. So like that, there are many given in the Hindu religion also. There is the talk of the heaven is there. In Vedas itself is heaven there. So there, what is in heaven, that will be described later. But heavens, in Hinduism, heaven is not permanent. That's one thing. In Christianity, Islam, or other religions, heaven is permanent. Once you go to heaven, you are there forever, eternally. And similarly, if you go to hell, there's no respite. Now you have always doomed for eternity. But Hinduism doesn't believe in that. Hinduism says that is also temporary, like this life here is temporary. There also it is for the time being. You are there for the certain time. But there also, if you do so much of work, and what you gain? You gain and you go to heaven. So seeking heaven, wanting heaven is not the real worth thing to want in life, and to do so much of work, labor to do that. Sometimes that labor will be fruitless, and after, even if you gain, that is also not worth gaining, he said. And it says, Koanyartha sukhatenam kamo va mrityurantike aghatam niyamanasya badhyasyeva natustida. While death is near, what acquisition or enjoyment can please a man? So that's what it is. So we go to next verse 21. Shrutam cha drishtavad dustam spardha asuyat yabhyaihi bhavanta matvat krisivat chapi nisphalam. The happiness of heaven, etc., that we hear of from scriptures is also vitiated, like that we experience here, by rivalry, jealousy, destruction, and waste. And because the desire for it is attended by many obstacles, it is sometimes fruitless, like agriculture. don't try and put effort in going to heaven. It may become fruitless, and if you gain that, it's not the great thing that you go. There will be same, some pleasures will be there, but there will be all the negatives of the world will be there, because that is also a world of relativity, a world of Maya. Heaven is not away, not distinct from Maya. It is also it is in Maya. So that's what it says. Let's go to next verse. अंतरायैरभिहितो यदि धर्म स्वनिष्ठित तेनापि निर्जितं स्थानं यथा गच्छति तच्छृणु. If duty is properly performed and is unimpeded by obstacles, then one attains to heavenly spheres through it. Listen also how it happens. So, again, the duty is performance of your allotted duty, properly done, but not karma yoga. All duty is done for the sake of something in regaining, not the niskama karma. Sakama karma, all duty properly done, but with the thought of gaining something. But that also is not the ultimate thing. Then one attains to heavenly spheres through it, there's no doubt. But listen how it happens. इष्टेव देवता यज्ञै स्वर्लोकम याति याज्ञिक भुंजित देववत् तत्र भोगान दिव्यान निजार्जितान. The man of sacrifices goes to heaven, worshipping the gods through sacrifices here below. Like a god, he enjoys their celestial pleasure, which he has himself acquired. So, how much work you do to go to heaven? You please someone in heaven and do all the yajnas here. Then you go to heaven and enjoy like a god. What is that enjoyment? So, and that you have yourself earned. Throughout your whole life has been spent to earn how to go to heaven. That has been only goal of your life, to attain something, again temporary, again for the time being, limited by time. So punyo pachite shubhre vimana upagiyate gandharvair virahan madhe devinam hridyaveshadrik. What type of happens in heaven? When you go to heaven, what you achieve, he says. He says, in heaven you like any other god. In the When you go there in the aerial car, that Vimana. And that car, Vimana, is the car that moves in heaven. It flies. There was no concept of aerial car in the earth, in the world. That's why whenever it was needed, it was sent from heaven. Like Puspaka Vimana, they said. The Indra sent gave Puspaka Vimana for Rama and Sita to come back from Lanka to Ayodhya. So it was the aerial car, it just flew. And what is the aerial car? What happens? It says Kamagayanena. That aerial cars is Kamagayana. So whatever you desire, it takes you there. We have like that driverless car concept coming. You just put your destination, and you don't have to drive. It takes you to destination by itself. Artificial intelligence. Here also what that concept you see is, he says Kamagayana, that you go and sit and say, I want to go to that place. And this aerial car, this Vimana will take you that place. No driver needed, nothing needed, no fuel needed. It will all take you. You don't have to even put the buttons. Only you desire. Kamaga. It goes according to his desire. What a great thing you have in heaven. But you think it is great, says Sri Krishna. And what else you get in there? The aerial car acquired by his own good actions. He enjoys. How does he enjoy? Full attire. So, Shubhra, that is, there you have beautiful attires, there you say, heavenly clothes. How much you enjoy that. In the company of nymphs, like that. Gandharve Devinam Hridyaveshadrik. Hridyaveshadrik means beautiful, pleasant, which Hridya means which satisfies your heart. That's Hridyavesha. The clothes, attire that satisfy your heart. You wear that, and you have the company of nymphs, and you ride the Vimana, the aerial car, and go according to your wish. It will take you here and there in the company of nymphs, and is eulogized by Gandharvas. So Gandharva will sing your glory. What is there so much to be attained, this type of after death experience? says Sri Krishna. It is not worth attaining after doing so much of work that you have attained by doing yourself. Nothing is given to you other than the fruits of your action. And after doing so much of work in this world, you attain that limited place. You just move from one place to other place with that little you have good dress, and for that you spend whole your human life so precious in just trying to go to heaven. So that is not worth living. That's what Sri Krishna wants to say. Stribhi कामगयानेन किङ्किणी जालमालिन क्रीडन्न वेदात्मपातं सुरा क्रीडेषु निर्वृता. Dallying with women with a car decked with little bells that goes to any place desired. He is happy in the gardens of God and thinks not of fall. So that person thinks he has achieved so great. He can move from one place to other place just with the desire and be decked with how are those vimana? It says the details. That was the car decked with little bells, and when it moves, there is music coming. And that, like we have the car that the musical, we have the sound system nowadays. We drive and listen to nice music. You have the similar thing there. At that time, there were no such cars, so there used to be chariots, and this carts will be there, bullock carts and horse-driven chariots would be there during Krishna's time. And the heavenly concept was what? They have the plains where there is the music fit. What was music? Little bells. And that kinkini is the sound of bell will be there. And you have some happy company of people, and there will be singers of glory of your life. So this is all what you gain by that. Is it worth gaining, says Sri Krishna. Says the folly of going to heaven. And then how long you do that and think of nothing of his fall and go and you think that you are here for eternity. That was your idea when you go to heaven. You will forget that you have to fall. You have to, it is for the time being. There is expiry date. You have just come like a tourist. And what it says, Tavat pramodate swarge yavat punyam samapyate Shina punya patatyarvag anichan kala chalita. The person who goes to heaven, what happens? He enjoys in heaven till the merits of his good deeds are exhausted. All earnings are exhausted one by one. Whatever you have earned, all is being spent. And when it is fully spent, then there is no way you can remain there. You have to come back. How you have to come back? Kshina punya. All your merits have been kshina, all lost, exhausted, spent. Then patati arvaga nichan kala chalita. So anichan. So you have to come back without your desire. You don't want to go back. Then on the expiry of his marriage, he falls down. Arvaga, that's right. Falls down against his will, being propelled by time. So how painful that will be when you have to come back to heaven after doing so much. You thought and enjoying the heaven, and then you fall down to earth to begin again with your sakama karma to attain heaven. Whole life you practice here, you go there for the time being, you enjoy, think it is enjoyable, again come back and work here. So this cycle of going to heaven and coming back to earth will go on until you realize your truth. This is how this Mimamsakas will tell you what you should do, what you should perform. And Sri Krishna says, but I teach you Vedanta, where there is eternity. After you practice and achieve the truths of Vedanta, is always bliss and no coming back. So that's what he says in the Gita, that Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. So from here to all Brahmaloka, this is all beset with going and punaravartina. You have to come back. But mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. When you attain me, that is when you attain spiritual truth, when the spiritual nature of your true self dawns, then there is no punaravartino Arjuna. There is no punarjanmana vidyate. There is no again coming back to this world to work out again for going to heaven. And what happens in that state? When you have attained God, then you are in bliss. There is no desire left. There is no worries, anxieties, fear left. You are in eternal bliss. You are in Satchidananda because you are yourself Satchidananda Swarupa. You realize I am existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Bliss, absolute, I am. I am I am knowledge absolute and I am existence absolute. There's no time that there will be no existence of mine. I am existence itself. Why talk about existing? I am existence itself. I am bliss itself. I am consciousness or knowledge itself. That sort of realization will happen. Eternal, spiritual knowledge will dawn to you if you practice Vedanta in this life through devotion, through anasakti karma, through vichara, and through dhyana. If you do that, you will attain the highest. Don't give your mind to perform some actions only to go to heaven. So that is very small-minded person will try to go to heaven, but not really wise person. So wise person who are ati shuddha buddhi sampanna, they will try to attain the eternity, eternal life by understanding their own true self. That's what Sri Krishna would say further about this subject. So now we conclude today's scripture class with the closing chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padpadme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmu. Thank you and good night. See you next Friday with the scripture of next Friday, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna.